big a threat is this?
Well, look, Emily, it's a pretty serious threat. What you have is a series of capable actors, both nation states and criminal groups, who are looking to use the coronavirus epidemic to spread malware, essentially to get into people's email because they're interested in clicking on things about the coronavirus and establish either long-term footholds or to distribute ransomware or the like in this current threat environment.
So talk to us about the threat level here in cyberspace, given what is happening, the uncertainty, so many people working from home. Is there a threat to our national security right now?
Well, I think there is. As we know, Emily, there's been a long-term threat from intellectual property theft, from potential activities against critical infrastructure. But as people start to be concerned and start to work from home, as you say, a lot more of our economy depends on highly secure cyber infrastructure, because that's what we're utilizing now to conduct our day-to-day business more and more. And in this environment, it's just even more the case. And so obviously there are concerns. People recognize that this is a situation, and there are at least criminal actors starting to exploit this capability. And we'll see what nation states do going forward, but we know that they're going to use this capability to at least get in place long-term hooks.
So what are companies supposed to do? What are individuals supposed to do if they're working from home and maybe don't have all of the same security protocols?
Well, I think one of the keys for companies is to be using VPNs, virtual private networks. Even for individuals, you can buy VPN software, you can use it, on a monthly basis. And that way, at least your communications are secure. They're encrypted over a tunnel. You can also use the latest in behavioral threat detection and classic threat detection to protect your networks if you're a company. And part of this, too, is companies working together with one another, industries working together with one another in a collective defense posture to defend against these threats as we enter this new environment where we're all working from home and recognizing that this is just how it may be for at least a while to come.
Jamil, you were at the RSA Security Conference here in San Francisco just a couple of weeks ago, the same conference that now 3 people attended and have now tested positive for COVID-19. One of those folks is sadly in a medical-induced coma. This is a huge gathering for your industry. You were there. I'm curious how this is impacting folks in your industry right now.
Sure. Well, people are taking wise precautions here. Obviously there are 36,000 people at the RSA conference, only a handful that apparently had this issue. But the concern is, you don't want it spreading. You don't want it to be a point of spread. And so a lot of people are staying at home. A lot of people are working from home. We've seen some major tech companies announce that they're going to have their staff stay at home, not necessarily because of RSA, but just more generally a better way as a precautionary measure. And at least for this industry, you want to be cautious. You want to be careful. And so we'll see what happens as this plays out. We're now about 12 days out from RSA ending, 11 days. And so, the incubation period is thought to be 14 days. So by the end of this weekend, we should know better whether there are further cases. But at least for now, I think people are better to take precaution than not.
That said, the disease continuing to spread. Earlier today, the buildings of CBS in New York City were evacuated. CBS is now saying, and this is just crossing now, that 2 of its New York-based employees have tested positive for the coronavirus. They're asking employees in at least 2 of their buildings to work from home. Jamil, this is certainly going to get worse before it gets better. What are you most concerned about from a national security perspective?
Well, I think, honestly, Emily, one of the things is people just over panicking and getting too worried and actually not engaging in their normal day-to-day business, their normal economic activity. Look, this is a challenge, obviously. We've seen a lot of public spaces be left behind and people sort of staying at home. But you can still get your work done. You can still participate in the economy. This is not the zombie apocalypse, as it were. And the thing is to do is just to be safe, take normal precautions, and in the cyber arena, take smart precautions. But, don't stop doing business. Don't stop participating in the economy. The general variables in our economy and the like are good and they're solid. What we want to avoid is a panic here, I think, Emily.
That said, what would you like to hear from the White House at this point? I mean, I think some of the panic might be tied to the fact that, we're not getting a lot of information. The president has been due to unveil the stimulus plan. That hasn't happened. The daily briefing today by the vice president has been canceled. What should we be hearing from the White House?
Well, look, I mean, obviously the WHO today declared it's a pandemic, 114 countries affected, over 4,000 people dead. This is a huge concern. It hasn't been a pandemic since H1N1 years ago. And so what we need from the White House is leadership, right? We want the White House to come out and tell us what the plan is, tell us they're going to stimulate the economy. We know these things are going to happen. We know the Fed's going to continue to cut rates to the extent they're able to do so. And for all we know, they'll engage in quantitative easing, too. So I think the economy will stay strong. I think the government's going to do the right thing. all we need from the White House, and frankly, our leadership in Congress, too, is to step up and say, look, we will be there. We'll step in and do what's necessary to keep the economy going and keep the country's work moving. As long as we get that, I think we're in solid shape, Emily.